The rules of the debate are as follows. Each speaker will have a total of 3 minutes and 15 seconds to speak. There will be one bell at 2:30, two bells at 3, continuous ringing at 3:15, when speakers must finish. So let's start the debate. I now call on Alyssa, the first speaker of the affirmative.
Ladies and gentlemen, Hong Kong is facing a serious problem. Air pollution and traffic congestion is getting more and more serious each day, and adopting the electronic road pricing is one of the best solutions. Electronic road pricing, ERP, is a system to manage road congestion. Based on a pay-as-you-use principle, motorists are charged when they use priced roads during peak hours. We, as the affirmative team, strongly support the motion, as we believe that ERP will help solve urgent problems of traffic pollution and congestion. As the first speaker, we'll tell you about the urgent need to solve current pollution problems in Hong Kong and why we need ERP. Our second speaker will talk about how ERP can help solve the congestion problem, revenue that can be raised, and give you a proposed model. We must also be clear in this debate, we see ERP working alongside other measures to help solve problems, but ERP is central to solution. Firstly, air pollution caused by traffic emissions is one of the biggest issues the city is facing. The real-time air quality index on Hong Kong last week was 94 on an unhealthy level. If we compare Hong Kong to Singapore, which has the ERP system, it's actually 49 on a good, healthy level. Singapore also has a higher population density than Hong Kong, but because they adopted the ERP system, it has helped solve most of the air pollution problems. And that is why we need ERP to stop worsening the pollution issue in Hong Kong. Hong Kong's Environmental Protection Department reports that diesel vehicles are the main source of street-level pollution, and smog is caused mainly by emissions from motor vehicles. Since millions of people in Hong Kong live and work in close proximity to busy roads, this presents a major health risk to citizens. The Hong Kong Medical Association in 2015 showed that roadside pollution can exacerbate asthma, impair lung function, and raise the risk of cardiovascular death. Thus, Hong Kong needs ERP to urgently control the number of vehicles to protect our health. If ERP is implemented, according to Environmental Protection Department, it is estimated that there could be as much as 50% reduction in roadside emissions based on a similar example in well-developed countries, such as Singapore. The imposition of charging will help direct drivers to cleaner forms of transport, such as the MTR. Businesses will also need to implement better planning so as to ensure the commercial vehicles can operate effectively. With a better planning and system, less pollution will be caused. Ladies and gentlemen, the problem urgently needs to be controlled. We cannot risk citizens' health. Adopting ERP is our preferred solution. Therefore, today's motion must stand. We are very proud to propose. Thank you.
I now call on Shiny, the first speaker of the night.
Chairperson, ladies and gentlemen, we the negative team agree the definition given by the affirmative team. However, we believe that this statement is false. As our team line goes, electronic road pricing, ERP, is a palliative measure that doesn't really solve the problem. As the first speaker, I will be talking to you about shifting cars doesn't really change the problem and other alternatives to replace electronic road pricing system. And the second speaker will be talking about the invasion of privacy and the misconception of comparing Hong Kong with other cities. First, I would like to rebut what the affirmative team has said. They mentioned that applying the electronic road pricing system in Hong Kong can reduce the emission. However, we cannot. ERP system cannot reduce the number of vehicles on the roads. It only spread costs around, and it's also a misconception by comparing Hong Kong with Singapore. Can the affirmative team show any evidence that the less air pollution is due to ERP in Singapore? So now I'll start off with my points. Electronic road pricing is just shifting costs around. Even if cars move to other roads, it will only spread the cars to other regions and lead to an increased number in the cars in other areas. Because drivers will avoid using paved roads, they will shift their journeys and lead to an increase in traffic congestion elsewhere. And the overall number of vehicles will not decrease. It will just only bring the road to be saturated. And motorists will worse off unless there are flexible travel time and alternative travel options are available. Reports indicate that only 10% of the drivers will change their travel times, but the majority will ignore. And electronic road pricing system costs 556 million, and the maintenance cost is 142 million. It costs really high and is expected to outweigh the income generated. And it's not worth to invest such a huge capital in implementation of electronic road pricing system. It only brings a short-term solution. But why not build roads? Building roads can cost a lower maintaining cost than electronic road pricing system, and will increase the total road surface. As an example, the government used to think that electronic road pricing system is effective. However, as the completion of Central Wen Chai bypass, it relieved the traffic congestion along Main East-West corridor. And we can deduce that the need of ERP is diminished. And actually, we believe that road infrastructure are more efficient because it increases the supply of road capacity, and it's a long-term solution. And there are as we can see, there are different alternatives available to tackle the forecast traffic problems. And increase it in high level have significant impacts and have increased the travel volume at busiest time and locations. Ladies and gentlemen, in conclusion, as our team line goes, electronic road pricing system is a palliative measure that doesn't really solve the problem. So due to the above ground, today's motion must not stand.
I now call on Saturnia, the second speaker of the affirmative.
Ladies and gentlemen, in this debate, we must be very clear about the significant advantages of ERP and how it's the best for Hong Kong's situation. We strongly believe that ERP will help to solve traffic congestion and pollution in Hong Kong. I will show you how ERP can help to solve our traffic congestion, raise revenue, and how it should be carried out. Our dear opponent said that there's high administrative costs, about 20 million costs. But ladies and gentlemen, do you know when you imply ERP system, it will actually raise revenue up to 1.6 billion. 1.6 billion and 20 million means nothing. And also they said they will spread the number of cars because it actually won't decrease the traffic flow, so pollution problem won't be solved. But ladies and gentlemen, we're proposing a congestion charge zone, which means you have to pay more if you enter this zone, and it's really comprehensive. So it will actually encourage the private car drivers to use more public transport, which we are developed in a very excellent stage. And also, if there's less car, there's less pollution, because Hong Kong main pollution comes from vehicles. Now, let's take a look at the big picture. Do you realize how serious is the traffic congestion in Hong Kong? Over the past decade, the number of private cars has increased by 40% to 500 million in 2014. In other words, 1 in every 14 people actually owns a car. This leads to traffic serious flow, especially in peak hours and CBD like Central. With the ERP system, it will raise the congestion problem. It will limit traffic flow in congested areas, as drivers will think twice before because of the cost. Citizens may choose to take more public transport over driving. Business will be forced to plan better, thus enhance the efficiency of road transport and commuting from suburbans to urban areas. And ladies and gentlemen, please acknowledge that Hong Kong is a small area with such limited roads. That is exactly why we need ERP to resolve our traffic congestion. Therefore, it makes absolute sense for the government to introduce graded pricing scale for driving in congested areas. Second, ERP can raise revenue to improve public transport and our road infrastructure. According to Transport Department feasibility study, it's estimated that ERP is forecast to generate annual gross revenue of up to 1.3 billion every year. With this revenue, the government can thus reduce tax, spend more on public transport, and so on. We propose a modified model for Hong Kong based on Singapore and London. We will propose a congestion charge zone from an area between Central to Prince Edward's. Vehicles entering these areas with using freeways and main roads will be charged accordingly to a graded pricing scale. Through radio frequency identification according to the type and vehicles of time, which we already have in tunnels and expressways. We're simply expanding the system. Ladies and gentlemen, we strongly believe that ERP will help to solve traffic congestion and pollution. Therefore, today's motion must stand. Thank you.
I now call on Gordon, the second speaker of the negative.
Right now, so as we, the negative team, agree that traffic congestion in Hong Kong is a very serious problem. But as our first speaker has mentioned, shifting cars around doesn't change anything. And what's the point of ERP here? Shifting cars around. So the better way is to build roads and other infrastructure to enhance our basic fundamental transport system. The second speaker of the affirmative team has also mentioned that the ERP system raised revenue. But right now, if we are using the ERP system, we are going to raise revenue with a palliative measure while we are not using this sum of money directly to build roads. And the second speaker of the affirmative team has mentioned that roads are what Hong Kong lacks right now. Right now, I'm going to further elaborate on the effect of ERP system on our privacy and the misconceptions of comparing Hong Kong with Singapore. We have to keep in mind that ERP is a highly connected system that requires every vehicle in the city to install a specific tracking payment device. We may risk our information being abused by the government and the private companies associated with them. It is inevitable for us to disclose our deepest information to them, as this system includes all of us. Unlike other systems like the Octopus Cast and the public library system, you don't get to withdraw once the system is installed. From our prior experience, once a massive system is established, it's a very common scenario that the information will be leaked or used for bad intentions without the user knowing them. We have been duped once. The Octopus company has sold personal information of over 100,000 users for market purposes. Now, let's move on to this impression of comparison between Hong Kong and other cities using the ERP system, for example, like Singapore. The total kilometers of expressways of Singapore is 164 kilometers, while Hong Kong results in 20 kilometers less. There's much greater necessity for Singapore to apply the ERP system, while Hong Kong lacks the road, as we have mentioned, to keep the ERP afloat. It's important that CT provides the alternative transport before implementing ERP. ERP is only a part of the government strategy, which includes good transport planning, provision of a good road network, use of intelligent transport systems for traffic management, and the provision of a good bus and rail public transport system, all of which are integrated in the cities of Singapore, London, and Stockholm. ERP has to be part of a package that includes transport supply and transport demand management, which is not the case here in Hong Kong. In conclusion, the ERP was successful in those cities for one important reason. The cities operate a widely accessible public transport system which can support the shift to car-free transport. Also, affected motorists have a ring roads around the city to which they can divert. Hong Kong's public transport system and road availability are both saturated now, which makes ERP inapplicable. As our team line goes, ERP is a palliative measure that doesn't really solve the problem. Therefore, today's motion was
now call on Melody, the third speaker of the affirmative.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. According to Clean Air Network CEO Tsang on 11th December 2015, he said, demand-side transportation management is the world trend, and to inhibit private car use or growth, we need to make that a less attractive option. Electronic road pricing is one of the measures that was proven effective anywhere and everywhere in the world. Ladies and gentlemen, our team strongly supports today's motion as we believe ERP will help to solve urgent problems of traffic pollution and congestion. But before I move on to my summary, I'd like to correct some mistakes made by opponents. The first speaker has been calling for the question about our feasibility and effectiveness of ERP. First, they said it is impossible to reduce the number of costs, and it will only spread to other areas. However, my first speaker and second speaker have already been repeatedly showing you ERP can directly limit the number of costs into each and specific area. They have also been telling us about how ERP will not help to solve the problem of reducing travel time. Actually, it is not about the time that we're trying to limit, but the direct number of vehicles in these areas. We have also been showing you that how the number of vehicles can be directly lowered. So our opponents are actually not arguing on the same grounds with us. They've also been telling us other alternatives, for example, building infrastructure. It is only a one-off cost, and it is a short-term solution compared to ERP. But with ERP, it isn't. But with ERP, we will have an annual gross revenue of billions, according to my second speaker. It will be generated back to the government's revenue and reserve, which we can put it into better use, better planning in the society. The second speaker has been telling us about how ERP will be shifting costs directly to the citizens. However, also coming back to the revenue to the government. This is actually a long-term solution and will benefit the whole society and citizens themselves as well. The more we pay in ERP, the more return we're going to receive in the future. They've also been telling us about how it will increase the problem of invasion of privacy with the example of the octopus. However, the government has always have policies to monitor these companies to keep citizens' information confidential. We have laws, legal agreements, and signings with these companies. And there has never been any cases of leaking citizens' information since the establishment of Hong Kong. Back to the facts of our contention. Our first speaker has presented to you about the urgent need to solve current traffic pollution problems in Hong Kong and why do we need ERP. She has also told you about how ERP will bring annual gross revenue of 1.3 billion. The government can thus put it into better use in other aspects. Our second speaker has presented to you the urgent need to solve traffic congestion. Citizens may choose to take public transport, which is such as the MTR. Businesses will also be forced to plan better. Therefore, today's motion must stand. Thank you.
I now call on Lester, the third speaker of the negative.
Chairperson, ladies and gentlemen, before concluding our case, I would like to rebut some points raised by side affirmative, which is seemingly unassailable, but are actually fundamentally flawed. First, they have mentioned that building roads is a short-term measure to solve the problem, but I'm afraid I can't agree on that. So, given that the number of cars keeps increasing over the years, and the total road service remains unchanged, building ERP doesn't really solve the overall problem of traffic congestion of the whole city, as it doesn't, in any sense, reduce the number of cars, nor does it increase the total road service. While building roads is the most direct way to increase the number of road service, and thus is the way we want to solve the traffic congestion problem. Also, they have been irritating that the signing of confidentiality agreement can protect our privacy. But hasn't the octopus company signed a confidentiality agreement before? But still, given that confidentiality agreement, we are still being duped and betrayed. Should we take another risk for the government to sell our information again? Should we take the risk of our personal information being disclosed to those companies for marketing? I don't think so. So today they have been just keeping on irritating the comparison of Hong Kong and Singapore. But our second speaker has already shown you that this comparison is not legitimate, as Hong Kong is in many ways different from Singapore. He has shown you that the system is only, the ERP system is only part of the government strategy in solving the problem, while Hong Kong doesn't have a well-developed railway system, or it doesn't have enough roads and infrastructure for us to implement the ERP system. So the system is not in any sense applicable in Hong Kong. So they've also been showing that the pollution problem is very serious, so we should immediately implement the ERP system in order to solve the problem. Yes, we agree that the pollution is serious, but is ERP a direct way to solve the problem? So does ERP reduce the number of cars on the road? No. So given that it doesn't reduce the number of cars on the road, the total number of pollutants should not be reduced. So I don't think it's a direct way to solve the problem. So ladies and gentlemen, what have I told you today? Our first speaker has shown you that ERP cannot solve the traffic congestion problem effectively, while our second speaker has shown you with the infringement of privacy and the misconception of comparing Hong Kong to Singapore that ERP system is not needed in Hong Kong. Today, side affirmative has kept on irritating that the comparison of Hong Kong and Singapore, while our side has shown you the real case by considering the actual situation in Hong Kong. So ladies and gentlemen, vote for the better development of Hong Kong, and vote for the traffic of Hong Kong, and vote for side negative. Thank you.
That concludes today's debate. Please show your appreciation for both teams. There will now be a short break while the adjudicator comes to the judgment.
doing the bell? Is it the problem with the bells? No?
Yeah, they thought that they said thank you immediately after the third bell, and it shouldn't be so many seconds after.
I don't think we're worried too much about time.
Yeah.
Not seem terrible.